G'day. Hi, it's Michael here. Thank you for joining me today. I thought I'll take some time out and make a little quick video of a dream that I had last night. And it was a very interesting dream. And it was one of those dreams that was very vivid. And you know that, the Lord is trying to tell me something from that dream. And really, really interesting dream because President Trump was actually in this dream. And he was the central figure in this dream. And I don't know the whole background, but it was like he was visiting Australia, and it was in Melbourne, and we got the chance to actually be part of his entourage for some reason. And in the dream, there was security around him, and Trump was was actually really like beautiful in this. He was really like regal in it. There was a lot of light around him. You could see his golden hair, and he seemed like just a really beautiful figure surrounded by security. And my family and I were part of it, part of the entourage, and we were supposed to be following him. But in this dream, my wife and my son, one of my sons, were actually part of this entourage, and they stayed close with Trump, whereas I was kind of like a little bit further back, and I got distracted by something. I forget now, but I was basically, maybe 100, 200 meters back, and I was sort of distracted by something I had to do. And I knew that if I didn't keep up, I would basically lose, lose track of Trump, who was moving forward, who was going to this place and that place. And and it seemed like I was very distracted. And then I sort of woke up. I came out of that dream, and I thought, wow, that's a very, very interesting dream, because it was, like I said, it was one of those really vivid dreams that I knew had a meaning, a pressing meaning behind it. And so I was just driving along today thinking, well, what does this mean? Holy Spirit, can you tell me what this means? And obviously, figures in dream have a symbolic meaning. For example, it wasn't, uh, Trump wasn't literally Trump in that. He probably represented someone. And in this case, I really felt that he represented God. And some of you would be horrified to think that, I would be equating God with Trump. But he was a symbolic figure, and he was this regal figure. And like I said, in this dream, he was just surrounded by light, surrounded by this aura and this peace. He had security. And I knew that as long as you stayed close to him, stay close to President Trump in this dream, you would be safe. And obviously, there's been a lot of threats against him. And the next thing that I found interesting was that my wife, and I believe one of my sons, Daniel, was like really close with the entourage, with the whole entourage, and they stayed close to him. And I got distracted. I got waylaid, and I had to do some business off to the side, and I lost track of him, and the protection. And so it was a kind of a wake up call. It was kind of a slightly distressing dream. And so I asked God what this meant, and it kind of like all made it quite it made it quite clear now that I think back about it, and I think God's given me interpretation. Now, as I said, Trump here represented God, and my wife in this case uh, represents the church, because in the Bible, the woman is often seen as a church, and so I believe that my wife in this case uh, uh, represented the church. And I think what God is saying to me, at this time, it was really important to stay close to God. And in the dream, obviously, President Trump represented God, and it was really imperative that the church would stay very, very close to God, just like my wife did. Let me just use that thing here. Excuse me. I think I just blanked out there. And so it was a kind of a prophetic warning or prophetic encouragement to stay close to Him. So, uh, our protection is only found in His presence and being with Him. And I sort of like I lagged behind, and it wasn't that I was lagging behind, not staying close to God, but it was a warning to believers that some of us believers aren't staying close to God. We're getting distracted by, the things of life, the cares of the world, by our own business, by our own problems, and I was kind of losing sight of where he was. I was actually getting quite distressed that I was falling behind. My wife was going with President Trump, and my son was going with him. They were under protection because he had protection around him. There was great light around Trump. He was a glorious figure. He represented God. And I was just trailing behind, and I was getting kind of a little bit upset. And it wasn't totally my fault, but I was getting a bit distracted and a little bit sidetracked. And that was the dream. And I think it's really interesting because I just sense in my spirit that as we draw to the end of the age, things are accelerating. We can sense that spiritually things are getting a little bit crazy. We have the alien disclosure. We have a lot of stuff that's happening, prophetic stuff that's happening. We obviously have the Iranian war. We have a lot of turmoil in the world. We have what's happening in Europe. We have all these earthquakes that are happening around the world. The really bad one, that's that one in Venezuela and Colombia. So things are just sort of hotting up. And the dream sort of was just instructing or encouraging me to share with you today to stay close to God, to stay really, really close to God, not become distracted by the things around us, not to become distracted by the world, and not even be distracted by our religious activities, because we really need to stay close to Jesus Christ, to follow him, to hear his voice. Now, what that means, and I got a further sense of what that means, was, what do you mean by staying close to God? Now, the Lord's been encouraging me that I need to be praying more. I have my sort of daily, maybe half an hour. Sometimes it might stretch to an hour time in prayer and reading of the Word. But I really sense that it's not really going to cut it now. A bit of prayer is not going to cut it. And we need to pray more. Remember in the Garden of Gethsemane when, Jesus was going to be arrested and taken across? He was praying. He was really praying. He was praying for God's will. He was praying for God's strength at that time. It was an incredible, momentous time. But he needed prayer. Now, if Jesus needed prayer, how much more do we need prayer in our own spiritual walk with God? So I'm encouraging us all. I'm preaching directly to myself at first and foremost, to spend more time with God. To spend that time in reading of the Word, in spending time in prayer, and just in waiting on the Lord, because we really do need to hear what the Holy Spirit is saying to us. He is our guide, and we should be really close to him. We should be listening and asking him for, direction every day, every minute, every hour of the day. And so I think that was just a nice, gentle warning in my dream, to stay close to God, to stay in prayer, to stay in the Word, and just to hear His will. And I think out of that we are going to hear His Word, and we're going to receive that peace in our heart and our spirit, so that we are not distracted. Because many storms are coming ahead of our way, and we can't be distracted. We can't be in a fearful state, but we need to just trust in God and to hear His voice. And really, ultimately, that is what brings us, that peace and that beautiful rest that we want to enter into. So I hope that blesses you, and I hope it's not too much of a shock what I said about President Trump. It was actually a really, really beautiful image of actually, of him in that dream and who he represents. I just encourage you all to stay close to God, to stay close to the Holy Spirit, to stay in fellowship with the Holy Spirit. So hope that blesses you, and I'll see you at the next one. Cheers.